Welcome to Detachment Diaries. This channel is about situationships, emotional patterns, and personal growth. I share stories from my past, not to shame anyone, but to understand myself and learn. If you relate to patterns of attachment, ambiguity, or emotional cycles, you're in the right place. Welcome back to Detachment Diaries. This episode is about a connection that started while I was traveling. Not a relationship, not a grand romance, a brief encounter that became emotionally significant in ways I didn't fully understand at the time. I met him in Hokkaido in winter 2022. I was on vacation, still emotionally entangled with other situationships. One dynamic from the past was still intense, another existed for convenience. I wasn't traveling with expectations. I was exploring. Dating apps while traveling are common. Casual, low pressure, a way to meet new people. I matched with him and decided to meet on my last night in Hokkaido. Dinner, conversation, wholesome energy. It felt different from the emotional chaos I had experienced before. There's no pressure, no hidden agenda, just two people talking. He was a graduate student from Canada. Smart, interesting, easy to talk to. At some point, the conversation became more personal, then sexual. We talked about experiences, preferences, things people usually don't say on a first meeting. It wasn't awkward, it felt natural for the setting. Travel connections exist in a different space. There's a thrill knowing it might be temporary. So we decided to be intimate. I should mention something important. I was on my period. He didn't mind. He said it didn't change anything for him. That level of comfort surprised me. Not because it was romantic, but because it felt accepting. And acceptance in something we all seek in different ways. We both understood it might be a one-night experience. No expectations. That was the mindset. We used protection. I even remember joking about it being very thin. I asked if it was safe. He said yes. That confidence turned out to be misplaced, and I probably jinxed it because the condom broke. It split open, and in that instant, panic hit. If you've ever experienced something like that, you understand the feeling. Your mind accelerates. What if? What now? What does this mean? It isn't just physical risk, it's emotional uncertainty. The fear of consequences, the fear of not knowing. I froze, literally froze. My body went into panic mode. But he handled it well. He told me to breathe, to calm down. We showered together, we talked. He said we would figure it out the next day. That response mattered. In moments of crisis, composure helps. It doesn't erase the problem, but it prevents total emotional collapse. I was flying to Tokyo the next day, and that night, I barely slept. My thoughts spiraled. What if it's pregnancy? What if it's complications? What if everything goes wrong? I researched, I calculated timelines, I tried to rationalize. And this is how anxiety works. It demands answers in situations that don't have immediate ones. I asked him to buy emergency contraception and deliver it to me in Tokyo because I couldn't understand Japanese and I am not a resident there. It's hard to get Plan B there. So he got it for me and I took it within the recommended window. Then I waited, and if you have ever waited for uncertain outcomes, you know the feeling. It is a strange mix of hope and dread. and you cannot control results. You can only take responsible actions and move forward. So we waited. I went back home. A month later, my period arrived. I felt relief, not celebration, just pure relief. And that experience taught me something profound. We are not as in control as we think. We can plan, we can prepare, we can take precautions, but life still contains uncertainty. I messaged him to tell him we were okay, we're safe, and he was relieved too. He said he was happy to stay in touch, so we did. Not constantly, not obsessively, but we remained connected. Light messages, conversations, a casual friendship with history. And looking back, I understand it for what it was. A travel-based connection that continued remotely. Not a relationship, not long-distance romance. A casual dynamic that existed within boundaries. And that is okay. Not every connection must become more. Not every interaction needs deep emotional commitment. Some relationships are seasonal. They teach lessons, they create memories, they end. And that does not diminish their value. Months later, I returned to Japan, Fukuoka this time, and good timing, he was nearby. We met again, had dinner, talked, hooked up twice, 2 consecutive nights, and no scares, no drama. It felt familiar, comfortable in its own way. And for a moment, I wondered, could this become something more? Not a full relationship, but something ongoing. A connection. However, reality remained clear. I did not live in Japan. Long-distance relationships require extraordinary effort, timing, mutual commitment. I was unsure we had that foundation, so I treated it as it was, a casual connection. I continued dating other people, not out of comparison, not to replace anything, but because I was exploring life and relationships. I was no longer in the phase of emotional dependency, and that is growth. Understanding that one connection does not define your worth. And months passed, I wanted to return to Japan again, partly for travel, partly to see him, partly to understand how I felt. I told myself, if there is something to say, I will say it in person. If there isn't, I will move forward. No regrets, no lingering what ifs. But before that happened, he told me he had a girlfriend. And that moment really hurt. Not in a dramatic way, not in anger, but with sadness. A quiet realization that the chapter was closed. Not because I expected him to choose me, not because I wanted to disrupt anything, but because possibilities disappeared, the what-ifs, the hypothetical futures, they no longer existed. Grief for potential is real. It is different from grieving a relationship that fully existed. You mourn ideas, you mourn possibilities, you mourn the version of events that never happened. I told him I was happy for him, and I meant it. People deserve happiness, even if it means paths diverge. But I also shared something honest, that there was a time I considered exploring something serious. Not to pressure him, not to rewrite history, but to speak my truth. So there were no silent regrets, no unsaid words. And he responded honestly. He said he had considered it too, but distance and life circumstances made casual friendship feel safer. And I understood that. But it still hurt. Because understanding does not erase emotion. And we decided to still be friends and continued chatting for a while, but less frequently, more distantly. Friendly messages, updates. And it went for months, but something changed. He reminisced about memories, trips, moments we shared, nostalgia. I felt confused. Was this closure, friendliness, something deeper, or nothing at all? And around the same time, he mentioned being rocky with his girlfriend. I did not act on it. I did not chase. I did not push. But I noticed my emotional response. There's a flicker of hope. And that is dangerous territory. Hope is powerful. It motivates. It inspires. It can also distort reality. I joked once, what if we became roommates in Japan? I was half serious, half lighthearted. He said it wouldn't work, and that was his answer. I respected it, but I still booked Japan tickets, not to chase him, to travel, to experience life, to be back at my happy place. And that time he was busy with his PhD. The replies became rare. Eventually, they stopped. Silence. Ghosting. No dramatic goodbye. No explanation. Just absence. And being ghosted by someone you once considered a friend hurts differently. It is not about romantic expectation. It is about human connection. When someone disappears without explanation, your mind searches for meaning. Did I do something wrong? Was I too much? Did I misread everything? But the truth is simpler. People move on. Lives change. Priorities shift. Sometimes there is no deeper explanation. I do not harbor anger. I do not hate him. I actually wish him well, genuinely. But I also wish I had closure, a message, something. But I cannot control that. Silence is an answer. Not the answer we want, but still an answer. It means I am no longer part of his immediate world. That is hard to accept, but acceptance is part of growth. What I learned from him is important. Casual connections can be meaningful. They can teach lessons. They can create memories. But they are not guaranteed to last. Health scares remind us of vulnerability. Long-distance dynamics require effort. Friendships, after intimacy, require boundaries. Ghosting teaches detachment. Not bitterness, detachment. The ability to move forward without needing external validation or closure. That is freedom. It also taught me I deserve communication. I deserve respect. I deserve clarity. Not from everyone, but from relationships that matter. If someone cannot provide that, I can choose to walk away. Not angrily, just clearly. This video is not about blame. It is about understanding. Sometimes connections end. Sometimes people disappear. Sometimes we grieve potential. And that is okay. Growth comes from recognizing patterns, from learning, from choosing differently. I no longer need to chase explanations. I can accept reality. I can wish people well. I can continue building my own life. That is maturity. This is Detachment Diaries, and this is part of the journey.